Spring is here and I love this season so much. I'm looking out for some early flower blooms. It's so nice to see the green grass again and everything starting to bud. And I'm most excited that we are finally getting things ready for the garden again. Big update, we've got soil in the ground again, and I visited a local nursery to look at all the beautiful plants and flowers and get inspired. And I picked up some cilantro, which I think will be cheaper planting and eating than buying every week. And I also bought some baby's breath for our flower garden. My peonies are starting to pop up, and a little update on my seedlings in these winter sowed jugs. We got lots of onions coming up. I'm super excited about that. Our son is almost a year old, and I am taking this week to put together a little birthday celebration with all of his Oumas. The timing worked out where we had them all in one place together, and so have a little get together and celebrate his birthday. And so I'm going to make a little banner to hang up in our house and bake a cake that he would be able to eat with us. Starting out by cutting some squares from fabric that would look good together, and then I'm folding the nice sides inward and then sewing one side shut. Now when you do this and flip it inside out, we've got a triangle. So I'm doing that with all of my fabric, and I had a longer stretch of time to do this because Ozzy's one Ouma is visiting us for some time and helped me look after him while I tackled this project. Once all of my squares became triangles, I took to my iron and ironed everything nice and flat. Now here I am folding the top part inward and then ironing that flat to get a perfect triangle. Now that is very little work to get these perfect triangles, so a really quick way to get these flags all done. And then I had I think it's some sort of fabric tape that I was using as sort of the holder for all of these flags. Now you don't need anything specific. You could just use a long piece of fabric folded in half to hold them in place. I'll put some rough measurements in the description box below if you want some specifics, but depending on how many flags you have and how long of a stretch you need, this will vary probably from project to project, depending on what your intention is. But I spaced my flags about 2 inches apart and just stuck them underneath this fabric and continued sewing in a straight line until they were all nicely strung up. Now the next morning very early, I cut out the letters 1 from some fabric and sewed them onto the center 4 flags. There's probably an easier way to do this, and you can tell that I am a genuine beginner sewer here, so definitely not the finest work, but it works for me, and this is just a rough project. Once the letters were sewn down, we hung it up on the wall with some push pins. And then of course a birthday party would be nothing without a cake, and so I also baked a quick cake with some oat flour that I blended in our food processor, and I'll leave a recipe for this down in the description box if you are interested. They're very simple, basic ingredients in this cake, of course, because, well, we don't want our baby having too much sugar, so this is a very simple and basic cake that is baby-proof and tasted very good. This cake is not sweet at all, and so if you are having it with some other birthday cake, you can really notice that it is very plain. And here I am mixing all of the dry ingredients together and then having a separate bowl for my wet ingredients. But I'm just quickly whipping up my egg first and adding that in as a part of my wet ingredients. This cake has some flour, baking soda, baking powder, cinnamon, and some banana, yogurt, coconut oil, vanilla, and egg. And then I'm slowly adding the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients and mixing in as I go, and then adding them to pans to bake in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 to 30 minutes. While that is baking, I'm whipping up some whipping cream here, and then I'm adding a little bit of maple syrup and some blueberry powder, and then I'm gonna use some blueberry powder as the coloring. We have a friend here, local to us, that works on a blueberry farm and freeze-dried some of her blueberries this past summer. While we're shooting for a blue cake, now the color is a little bit more purple. I wonder if this is the kind of blueberries that they have, or just all blueberries in general, but I'd actually have a little bit more of a purple tinge. Now, thankfully, we're not trying to bake any cakes for some competition or anything, so cakes did not rise very much at all, and so I actually decided to cut them in half and make a larger cake with more layers instead of a super thin cake. Now, I know first birthday parties can be a big deal, and I'm sure everybody does them a little bit differently. For us, it's mostly the ladies celebrating. So this is our little simple get-together with all of the grandmas while they were in town together. Found this video helpful about banting and baking a cake for a little one. Have a good day, and hopefully you'll stick around and catch some of our upcoming content.